Welcome back. So I wanted my details page to have something looking like the create joke page here with an update button and a delete button instead of a create button. So I'm just going into the list jokes right here, and I'm going to go into details and make that actually happen this lesson. Now, how again do we find the information about how to create these fields that you see inside the create joke? I just want to show you that, how you can make fields like this, because you can actually go into your menu right here inside the Ionic information set, and you can go back to the main docs and you can go into components, you can find inputs, and there's a lot of others to pick from, right? You can go and pick the one you like. Now you have to go into input API docs to get more information about how you can actually use control groups and stuff like that, and they have something called the ionTextAreas right here. Now that's the one we're going to use, and that's the one we've used for the create part, so I'm just going to copy that and paste it into my code inside the details of the joke. Inside the Ion content right here, I'm going to make a text area, and I'm just going to wrap it up right there. So what do we need to kind of make a text area? Well, you can always go in and have a look at the create joke HTML, and here's the fields that we need. So it's really up to you, but that's a minimum requirement. Now, what do I need inside this guy? Well, I'm going to again make the rows. That's the first thing I want, and that's just going to be equal to 4 again. It's up to you again if you want more or less. I want to also have the type, right? And that's going to be the text type again. I'm going to have the placeholder to kind of just, if people delete or remove everything, it's still going to say setup in here. So we still have the text of setup, if you guys remember that part. And the last thing, the most important thing, is pretty much just setting up the ng model to kind of explain how I can actually store and get data for this specific field. I'm putting in two-way binding, so whenever I actually get a joke, it'll automatically update this, and as soon as there's no joke, it'll actually also automatically remove it in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, what do we have? We have a joke locally, right? On that joke, we have a setup. So that's kind of what we want to point to for this model right here. Now we can just make a question mark right here to avoid the null issue normally, but let's see if it works right here. Jumping back to the code, you'll see I'm getting an exception. So we cannot do that. Let's just remove that again. And let's try and see this again. I just wanted to show you guys that issue actually. So that pretty much means that you have to have that field available or it actually won't work. You cannot use the question mark. I messed up here a few times myself. You cannot use the question mark inside an ng model. There are other ways to solve this. Let's not cover that right now. But now we have one text area. We're going to add another text area. Let me just make this prettier. There we go. So I'm just going to copy this guy, paste him below. That's the second text area right here, and that's going to be my punchline. So I'm going to point to punchline, and I'm going to write punchline line. There we go. Now we have the punchline ready. Let's just have a look at that again. Jumping into the specific list of jokes, clicking the joke, and notice now it actually says something like it should. Nope. There we go. So now we start having something looking like jokes, right? But where are these lines above and below? Well, that's because we didn't put this inside a list like we actually did in the create HTML. So we're just going to wrap this in a list to kind of get something that looks a bit more like what we had. So I'm going to just copy this list right here inside the content and put that inside our padding right here. Add a yon item for each of the text areas just to wrap it. Doesn't do anything else. So just wrapping, so we have the list here, and that has the first yon item, and that yon item has a text area right here. Again, let me just prettify this a bit so it's easier for you to read. So that yon item has a text area. Then we're going to have another yon item right below it, and that's also going to have a text area inside it. So just adding the text area from here into that guy. Now we have two yon items with two text areas. I hope that makes sense. And the last thing I kind of want to just wrap up the yon list down here in the end. And all I pretty much just did was add a bit of graphics so I get the lines. When I jump in and press the details now, oops, you'll see the lines again. So I can see where how far I can actually write here before it starts adding the scroller, right? So there we go. Now we've added some details. And right now we, of course, can't save the changes if we make any changes to our jokes, but at least they're there. See you next time. Have fun.